everyone, Mrs. Newmeyer here, and we are going to be doing our hands-on science projects. Now, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be doing experiments that relate to the human body, and we're going to be using our Janice VanCleave book as our reference to get these experiments. Now, before we start, I want to talk a little bit about the scientific method. Now, we have the steps of the scientific method. You can find them in your Foundations Guide on page 129, and we'll be going through those questions and this procedure as we go through each of our experiments. So first we're going to start with our question. Now today we're going to be talking about the human eye. Now God has made our bodies just so incredibly complex and amazing, and we especially see that when we study the eye. I want to read you a quote. This comes from our Apologia Exploring Creation with Human Anatomy and Physiology book. I'm on page 185. So Dr. David Menden, a professor at the University of Washington School of Medicine, says, "The Bible tells us that God's eternal power and divine nature are clearly seen in the things that he has made." And that comes from scripture, right? One of the most obvious displays of his creative power is the human eye. So with that, we're going to start studying the human eye today. I want you to think about, what questions have you had when it comes to your eye? I bet there's a lot of them, right? I can think of a few questions of my own. Let's see. Number one, how does it work? Why is it called an eyeball? Another thing that we're going to talk about today is vision and how vision works, and something called persistence of vision. And so one of my questions might be related to movies. How do movies work? Like even the movie you're watching right now. Does it have anything to do with how our eye works? Those are some good questions. Can you think of some more? You can go ahead and pause the video and think of some questions that you have about the eyeball. Did you think of some questions? I did too. One question I thought of is, can our eyes hold on to images? Let's look at that today. Now, the next step is to do some research. So to research this, we need to think about how our eyes work and maybe do some research about it. So I have some pictures here as part of my research. Here's our eyes. So that's what our eyes look like. You can see the different parts of the eye. But now let's think about what's on the inside of the eye that might help us answer our question today. Now, let's look at, I have got this model of an eye made out of paper. Now, here's the outside of the eye, and then we've got the next layer, which is the cornea, and that's the part that is on top of our eye. And sometimes if we scratch our eye, that's the part that hurts if we can get a little bit of a scratch on there. So that's why we have to be careful with our eyes. And then the next layer, beyond that, we've got the pupil, and that's the iris and the pupil. The pupil is the black part in the center, and the iris is that colored part. Okay, and then as we go further in, there's a lens behind there, and we'll learn more about the lens next week. And then behind that is our retina. Now, it's as if we go all the way back. It's like a round ball all the way back. At the back of our eye is what's called the retina. And then even behind the retina, on the retina are all kinds of blood vessels, and that's how our blood supply goes to our eyes. And then behind that is the optic nerve. That's the one that connects to the brain and sends some messages and signals to the brain. I'll show you another picture so you can see what I just showed you sideways. This is really cool. So here we go. Now, here's our eye if you were to look at it from a sideways vision. The one I showed you just a second ago on paper was if you were just going to go straight through inside your eye to see what it looks like. Now this is a side view of your eye. So there's that cornea that I talked about. That's the outside part. And then we go in through here. Here's the lens. The iris, the colored part, is right here. The black part, the pupil, is right here. And so then we've got this sphere. It's filled with fluid. And here's the back of the eye, the retina. And that's the part we're going to talk about today, is the back of the eye. All right, so now that we've done a little bit of research, we can think back to our question. Can our eyes hold on to images? Well, let's come up with our hypothesis. Now, what's a hypothesis? It's an idea you can test. What I like to do sometimes to remind me is, hypothesis. Bing! An idea you can test. Okay, so I'm going to come up with an idea that I can test related to my question. So can our eyes hold on to images? So my hypothesis is either going to be it can or it cannot hold on to images. Ooh, my pen is running out. Okay, can or can not. Which one do you think it is? Can our eyes hold on to images? Maybe you think so. And your hypothesis would be eyes can hold on to images. Or you might say, no, I don't think so. Eyes can't hold on to images. Either way, make your hypothesis. I'm going to use a new pen. Can or can not. Now, pick one of those, and that will be our hypothesis. Once you've formulated your hypothesis, the next step is to test or experiment. So we're going to put together an experiment to test this, and the one we're going to be using today comes from our Janice VanCleave book. It's number 68, called Blinking. So for our experiment, we need to first gather materials. Now, you can look at the materials as listed in the book to do the experiment that they show here. I also have an alternate experiment, a way of showing this, that is going to use other materials. So I'm going to show you those. Now, I have a link below to two different worksheets. One's going to be a black and white one. The other is going to be a colored one. You can choose. Now, if you want it, or if you have a color printer at home, or if you want to print out the colored one, you can do this one, or you can print out the black and white one, and then you can color it yourself. And I'll show you what we're going to do. You're going to take your worksheet and you're going to pick one of the designs. Now, say you're using the black and white one. We've got fish, we've got birds, and we've got flowers. Pick which one you like. For today, I'm going to pick the fish, and I'm going to cut it out. So our materials are going to be the worksheet and my scissors, and what else you're going to need is a straw. All right, so go ahead and cut that out. Cut along the outside of the circle on both sides. I folded mine in half so that I could just cut it out at the same time and go all the way around. Now, next what you're going to do is you're going to take your cutout piece of paper and you're going to put it together with staples. I found staples work better than tape just to hold it on, because you're going to staple that straw at the bottom. You're going to staple that together, the paper and the straw, so they stay together, and then staple all the edges. Once you've done that, you can take your final thing, and I'm going to show you a different one that I made that's nice and colored and show you how this is going to work. So if you're still working on it, go ahead and pause. And once you're done, unpause and come back. I want you to take your paper that you made and put your straw in between your fingers like this. And now you're going to roll it quickly, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back really quickly. And can you see both images at the same time? The bird is flying towards the birdhouse, or if you made the aquarium, or if you made the flower pot. Now you'll see on one side, there's just a bird. On the other side is just the birdhouse and the tree. But when we go together, we can see them. When we go really fast, we can see them together. And it looks like the bird is almost flying to that birdhouse, isn't it? All right, go ahead and try that with yours. Did you see that? Pretty cool, huh? It's lots of fun. Now, if you chose to do the one that's in the book, I'll show you how that one works too. Now, it's a little more challenging for younger students to do the one that's in the book. That's why I chose to show you the other one first, because it's a little easier. Because you, with drawing this one, you have to just get it just right in order to make it work. But the instructions are in your Janice VanCleave book. You're going to make 2 sheets of paper, and you're going to draw a line here so you know where to put your face. On one piece of paper, you're going to draw a happy face, smiley face here with open eyes. And on the second one, you're going to line it up just right so that you have a closed eye. And then when you're done, you're going to tape a pencil to the bottom of your page and roll it up like so. Okay, and then you're going to hold it down on your, you can either tape it to your table or hold it down with your other hand, and then you're going to roll it like this. And if you go fast enough, it'll look like it's blinking. Time for our results. So let's think, let's analyze what we found out in our experiment. Now, if you did this one, what did we find out? We found out that even though we have one side with just the bird and another side with just the birdhouse, when it goes back and forth really, really fast, we see both things. And with our happy face, when we went up and down, it looked like it was blinking. So now we need to analyze why. Why do we think that happened? So that's the next step in our scientific method. And then we can analyze, was our hypothesis right? Well, when we study the eye, what we learn is when an image goes to the back of the eye, it actually stays there for a 1/16th of a second. And then our eye sees the next image, and that stays there for the next 1/16th of a second. So if we're able to go faster than that, then our eye still sees that first image on the back of our eye while the next one is being presented. And so that's why it looks like we're seeing multiple at the same time. Now that's what we see in movies. When we're watching a movie, they have a frame rate, and each frame is like a little picture being presented to us. And then if it goes fast enough, we don't even notice that they're actually still images. Like, have you ever made a stop motion video before? That's what we're doing. We're capturing an image, and if you just do little movements in each of your photographs and then put them all together, it'll go fast and it'll look like it's a movie moving. You can also do that with a flip book, where if you take some paper and you draw pictures, and you can make a little flip book, and it will look like it's going. Now, my son would tell me that this is also called Flipperama in the Captain Underpants series, so they've explored this idea as well. One more example of this I'm going to show you is this is a lightsaber. Now, see how I turned on that light? Now watch what happens when I move it back and forth. Now, we know that there's just one light here, and I'm holding one stick. But if I go side to side, you can see that light persists because I'm moving it so fast that my eyes see it in one place and it sees it in the next place too. So it looks like there's almost like a beam of light instead of just the single light that I actually am holding. Pretty cool, huh? You can try that with a light at home too. Or if I move it around in circles. At 4th of July, this is really cool too, with like sparklers, or if you get a glow-in-the-dark stick and you go it around, like it even looks like I'm making a circle almost. That's because of the persistence of vision. That's what we call it, persistence, where something remains. That's what the persistent means, remains. And in this case, it's remaining on the back of our retinas in our eyeballs, like they're like a round globe, like I showed you before. And then on the back of that retina, get that book out again, back of the retina, so the image comes through, because this is clear here, and in here, and our lens is clear also, so the image or the light comes in, and it hits the back of our eye, the back of the retina, stays there for a 1/16th of a second, and then we see the next one come in. Persistence of vision. Pretty cool, huh? That picture came from this book here. Very cool book. And this cutout that I showed you before comes from this book, if you're interested. Has lots of different cutouts and information and experiments about the human body. Very cool. All right, so what is our conclusion, and was our hypothesis correct or not? And it's okay if it wasn't, because that's part of the scientific process, right? We're discovering, and it's really cool to ask questions, even come up with some ideas. And the thing about the scientific process is sometimes we're right and sometimes we're not, but it's that process of discovery that helps us to find out new things and discover new things that we either didn't know before, and sometimes that no one knew before, and that we can find out new information about this amazing complex world that God created. So if you said that, if your hypothesis was that our eyes can hold on to images, what do you think? Is that what we observed in our experiment? It is, isn't it? That our eyes can hold on to images in the back of our retinas for a 1/16 of a second, and that's why we observed multiple things in our pictures. We saw the birds and the birdhouse, or if you had the aquarium, the fish and the fish tank. So that is our conclusion, that indeed, yes, it does. And look how much we learned about the eye, the human eye. Well, this was week 1. Next week, we're going to be going more into learning about the human eye and about the lens of our eye. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.